Hello everyone, and welcome back to a brand new video of Just Another Guy on the Internet. And in today's video we're going to be reviewing the SS Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. This was also made by Drash, and it's another fictional ship for his fictional steamship company, the Germania Atlantic line. And so yeah, in the previous video we reviewed his Heidelberg, which was the first ever ship of his company, and it was launched in 1873. And it was followed by 3 sister ships, so there's 4 ships in total for that class. And then a few years later, in 1877, a new class of ships was launched, and this was the so-called musician class, and there's 3 ships in total. The first one of which was this one here, the Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and it would be followed by the SS Johann Sebastian Bach in 1877, same year. And then a year later, in 1878, you have the SS Ludwig von Beethoven. So, very interesting there. And some facts about the actual ship here is that it was one of the biggest of her time, and also one of the fastest. It could do about 15 knots, so very impressive for 1877. That is, that's very good speed. That would basically put it at the have a very close chance of actually winning the blue ribbon. So, but yeah, it looks very nice here, and so this is available for download. But Drash actually gave me a updated version of it, so you can go out and download this. But he's actually planning on releasing an updated version of this in January. But he actually gave me the updated version a bit sooner, so I can review it here for you guys. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about that. So, I mean, you know, for the actual exterior, it looks really good, like I was saying, lots of detail. And you can see that it does still carry sails, of course, in this time. Steamers still carried sails as basically kind of a precaution if the engines failed or anything like that. If there was some type of emergency, you would just use the sails instead as kind of a backup. Very rarely did the actual steamers operate both under steam and sail. So it's kind of like a hybrid, basically. And yeah, so you can see that there's a lot of improvements from the Heidelberg to this ship, and I'm not saying that the Heidelberg was bad. It just means technologically there's been a lot of improvements, as you can see. You can see that there's a lot more superstructure. So on the Heidelberg there was very little superstructure, but now it's been expanded quite a bit. Although, like the Heidelberg, this ship does actually still have the first class, or cabin class rather, in the stern. So you're going to be seeing that, and then second class is midships, and third class, or steerage, is in the bow. And yeah, again, I really like the paint scheme. So you kind of got the blue stripe there, and then the actual funnel livery is also very interesting. I think it looks really good. And of course, it's fictional. But anyways, yeah, let's actually head inside here. So of course we do have the bridge here. Nothing interesting. It's just basically typical for the time period. You can see something similar on a lot of ships from this time. And so let's see, down here is the boat deck. So there wasn't really a boat deck on the Heidelberg. It was just basically just the top of the deck house. But here you actually get an actual deck space here with the lifeboats, of course. And let's see, so we have the wheelhouse in here. So not a whole lot going on, just your typical wheelhouse here. And so yeah, you got a lot of skylights here, of course, since it could probably get dark inside of the actual ship, since basically all you have for windows are these small portholes. And of course, during this time period, this was before ships also had electric lights. So I imagine it would get quite dark on some of these early steamships. So of course you're going to have a lot of skylights here. And yeah, so you got 2 funnels this time around. So you have 2 boiler rooms, since of course it's a bigger ship. It's going to require more. Power. And back here, you just got like these crew entrances. So you do have this big crew area midships. So, and then you have the bath here and water closet for the officers. And the officers are actually quartered on the Promenade deck. So you'll be seeing that shortly. So yeah, just some actual vents here for the boiler rooms. So very nice. This turned out very nicely. And you also are going to notice that there's these barriers here. And that's because all of this deck space back here is actually for cabin class. So everything forward of this barrier is for crew. So you kind of have like this, I think, docking bridge here. And then everything past here is for cabin class. So they get quite a bit of deck space up here and also on the Promenade deck. And then let's see, we got the engine hatch here. So here you can see the top of the engines there. We'll have a much better look at them later once we actually head down there. And you have more skylights here, so you actually have a skylight here above the cabin class smoking room. And also a skylight above the staircase. And the music room, plus kind of the dining saloon down on the main deck. And we have another barrier here, so yeah, this would then be for crew. The poop deck, of course, this is for crew. Of course, passengers wouldn't really be allowed up here. And then just got more details, vents, skylights, deck equipment, and also the flag here, which you can see it's the Imperial German flag, since, of course, you have to kind of consider the time period that the ship would have been built in, if it was real, of course. So that's pretty much it for the boat deck. There's not really a whole lot going on, so once we get down to the Promenade deck, there's going to be a lot more interesting things to see. So yes, and underneath the forecastle, you just got crew areas for the most part. So you got the smoking room. So I think like a smoking room for the officers, I suppose, or the crew. I don't know, never really seen a actual smoking room for the crew except for the officers and the engineers. And we got, yeah, wash place here. So let's see, locker, water closet. So yeah, just nothing too interesting. And then you got this staircase that leads back up to the forecastle, as you can see. And of course, the forecastle here is kind of this turtleback, so kind of a bit sloped here. So it's something you see on some of the White Star Line ships from this period, like the Oceanic class and the Britannic class. And then we got some anchor chains, of course. So lots of detail. And let's see, so we got an entrance here. I think this is for crew or for steerage. Workstation. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for forecastle there. And then you just got stairs here for access, and you kind of got this deck space up here. So this is all for crew. Again, it's for crew. And you also have the lookout's nest. So lots of detail. And let's see, cargo hatch. And let's see, so this right here would be for steerage, yes. So these are entrances for steerage, and it goes down to their quarters on the main deck and the steerage deck. And of course they have some wash places up here. That's really all that you'll find up here is just the entrances and the wash places. So another cargo hatch here, and you also do have the plaque here, so kind of the engineering plaque. So yeah, all this deck space right here would be for steerage up until this point. Then past this point this is the officers' promenade, I'll call it. So this is where the actual officers' quarters are. They're right here. And let's see, so we got the second and third officer. So yeah, pretty basic cabins here, but they do look quite nice, especially for the 1870s. So first officer, yeah, all of these are basically the same, even the captain's room, but he kind of gets a little overhead view of the ship here, so that's very interesting. And you also have the skylight here, which is above the second class main area. And we also kind of have like this little lounge for the officers. And yeah, so, and of course we saw the bath and the toilet up on the boat deck, and then we're going to see some other stuff, so like their mess hall and such later. So yeah, this is all 4 officers, and then they have the staircase here that conveniently is right outside of the bridge area. So they don't have to walk too far to reach their working space, I guess. And then you have another barrier here, and everything from that barrier to this one is second class, or I guess I'll call it intermediate class, since that's what it was more often referred to. But it was still called second class. So, and let's see, so yeah, second class also has seen some improvement here. They now get a lounge and a smoking room. So this you didn't see on the Heidelberg, but now they have 2 more public rooms besides the main saloon, of course. And they're nothing too special here. They are quite nice, but they're pretty small since there isn't going to be a lot of second-class passengers in the first place. So for a ship of this size, yeah, this would be the norm. And the smoking room is also nothing too special here. It's basically just a mirror image of the lounge, except it has some different flooring here. And you also kind of get this little skylight above the main saloon. And then of course you have the staircase leading down to the saloon, so that's pretty much all that's up here. They also do get some lavatories, of course. So yeah, and let's see, so crew, okay, so yeah, more crew entrances here and staircases. Kind of like a little pantry up here. And then past this barrier is more crew areas. So we got kind of like a locker here. Purser. So here's the purser. And another kind of maybe galley, I think. Because a lot of ships from this time I noticed the galley was up on deck. And then it would have like a staircase leading down to the saloon. And you have another barrier here. And this is now finally cabin class, or first class. So it's a lot bigger, as you can see. They get a lot more deck space than second class or steerage. And there's also like these little benches here with like the little skylights here. And you do see this on some of the other ships from this time, like, again, White Star Line's Oceanic class and Britannic class, and also some of the Cunard ships, like the Gallia. And so yeah, we got some entrances here, and we might as well head inside. Then you just got some staircases here going back up to the boat deck, more benches, cargo hatch. So yeah, lots of detail. And yeah, so we might as well head inside now. And we have one of the main staircases here, so you can see it's a lot nicer than second class here by a long shot. This looks really nice. So it's very luxurious. Although again, it's not big, but yeah, for the 1870s, yeah, this would definitely work. And of course, you have a pretty decent sized skylight here, and also this little glass panel that looks into the music room here. So really like how this turned out. And of course, you also get a little clock here, and just some more seating. So yeah, this looks really good. Definitely an improvement from the Heidelberg. And you also do have the smoking room here. So this is the cabin class smoking room here. Again, it's small, but it's definitely very, very nice. Again, skylight here, got a mirror, another clock. So yeah, also really like how this turned out. And then we got the music room. And yeah, so this is one of the bigger public rooms here. Although again, it's pretty small here. But yes, it looks really, really nice, and it gets a big skylight here right above this well here. So you even have this well that looks into the main dining saloon here, which is interesting because I don't really see something like this in the 1870s. The earliest example of where I see like the well looking into a lower space like this is on the Cunard liner Servia. So the Servia had something like this, but on the earlier ships, all I really see is you just have like this skylight that's enclosed. It's squared off, so there would be like a little skylight here, but there would be walls around it, so you couldn't really look into it. So this is very interesting. Of course, I'm not sure if there were any ships before 1881 that had this. So, but it's very interesting. And that's actually it. Back here is a separate entrance. So you got kind of the other main staircase. I guess I'll call it the aft staircase for now. And it's a little bit bigger, as you can see. But you still do have more details like that we saw in the other staircase, like the skylight, the clock. And we also even do get cabins up here. So there's only 2 staterooms up here on the Promenade deck, and these are the only ones. So I imagine these would be quite exclusive. They would be pretty expensive as well. And okay, so let's see. And we also do have the reading and writing room. And again, it's small. It's a smaller space, but it turned out very nicely. I really like the kind of the pink here with the blue. Looks really good together with the white accents. So yeah, and of course you get a skylight here, mirror, and a painting. And then just got the staircase here, nothing too crazy there. And back here would basically just be crew now. So let's see. Okay, so a little storage space there, locker. And we just have some crew spaces. Again, nothing too crazy. You just got wood flooring and white walls. That's pretty much the norm. Stewards. Okay, so we got the stewards department down here. And water closet. Washroom. And also the steering engine all the way at the stern here. So yeah, that basically wraps it up for the Promenade deck, and then we're going to head down to the main deck now. And so let's see, how should we go about doing this? So yeah, let's go through steerage, since, where was it? I think this was one of the steerage entrances, right? Yes, okay, so yeah, this is steerage. And yeah, this is basically what you expect to find for the 1870s. For the 1870s, this was the norm. So you just have these large open dorms with a bunch of bunks crammed into it. And yeah, and this looks very similar to the Heidelberg, but just, of course, a bit larger. So not a whole lot of improvement for steerage class. So if you're traveling in steerage, yeah, there's not really a whole lot you can look forward to, except that your area of the ship is a lot bigger. Both down here and also up on deck, but that's pretty much it. And then yeah, you just got these staircases. Of course, there's 2 levels of the actual rooms here. 3 if you want to count the open deck up above. And then all the way at the bow here, you just have some crew areas. So let's see, we got this mess hall all the way at the very front of the ship. So yeah, and of course you do have the cargo hatches passing through these spaces. So yeah, not very luxurious, and you don't get a lot of privacy either. And then we reach second class. And yeah, so second class did see some improvements, like I said. They do actually now have an actual area down on the lower deck. So on the Heidelberg, it was only the main deck and the upper deck where they had actual areas, but now it has been expanded upon, and there is this lower saloon now. But other than that, a lot of this is basically the same. So the cabins really didn't change too much. They're your basic cabins here. You just get some berths here, wardrobe, and a little chair, and that's pretty much it. So, but for second class for this time, yeah, this would have been quite nice. So this is kind of like one of the saloons here, kind of the upper saloon, I guess I'll call it. And you also have this very, very small well here in Skylight. Interesting. So yeah, this is kind of the main staircase here, which leads back up to the public rooms. So yeah, very similar setup to the Heidelberg second class. And now we've reached this crew area here, so kind of this crew area midships. And let's see, so we also do have entrances to the boiler rooms from here. So from here you would climb down these ladders into the actual boiler room. So this right here is the uptake. So let's see, okay, so we got a wash place here, I'm guessing for second class. So wash place for the men. And we got some bakers here. Let's see, doctor. Okay, so we got a doctor here. Chief engineer and the second engineer. And also right over here is the officer's smoking room. So it's down here, and also over here is the officer's mess hall. And let's see. We got like a little pantry here. Bakery. Pantry. Let's see. Crew mess hall. Crew mess hall. Kitchen, right? Oh no, cooks. Cooks, my bad. Kitchen personnel. Some more crew, so yeah, basically nothing too fancy, of course. It is just the crew after all. And you just have more staircases going down to the steerage deck crew spaces. And we also have the boiler room number 1 entrance. So that's pretty much it. And now we we reach cabin class. Ugh, no idea why that was so hard to say, but we now have cabin class, which, like I've said, is at the stern of the ship. And yes, I do quite like how this turned out. I really like the flooring in here, and also the actual wallpaper looks really good. This definitely shouts cabin class. So yes, other than that, it's a similar setup to the Heidelberg. So then you just got your standard cabins in here, and you also have these portholes or windows that look into the actual engine casing here. So yeah, a lot of cabins here for the most part. Just a lot of cabins and the occasional water closet. And this is the main, the forward staircase. So it comes down here. Very similar to the Bothnia class and the Gallia from the Cunard line. This looks very, very similar. And then we basically reach the dining saloon. So this is the main dining saloon for cabin class. And what makes it unique is that it's its own thing. On a lot of the earlier ships, the saloon was basically just an area set aside for a bunch of tables. So basically what you had was you had cabins on the exterior side, and then kind of that area inboard, just that empty space, they just added a bunch of tables and they just said, yeah, this is the saloon. So it wasn't like its own room, but here it's its actual room. And one of the results is it allows for the space to basically go from one end of the ship to the other. So it spans the full width of the actual ship. So it's a lot bigger and it's a lot more grander as a result. So by the 1870s, yeah, this is basically what a lot of ships were basically, this was basically starting to become a thing. So it wasn't just like this area set aside for a saloon. Now you have an actual space here. So, and of course, the well definitely makes the room a lot grander. So, very nice space here. Really like the color scheme as well. And you also kind of have like these private dining areas too, which you really don't see either. So, quite interesting. And of course, you also do have a piano. So, very luxurious space here. And back here, you just have more cabins. Again, just a lot more staterooms with more wash places. This is the aft staircase. And you also kind of have like this other area here set aside. So maybe like a another kind of private saloon, not really sure. Or maybe this is the kids saloon, because you also do see that on some of the other ships, although not really from the 1870s. So that's the thing for a bit later. And then just some bathrooms and stewards, right? Yes, I believe this was the stewards. Yes, so then you just got some stewards at the stern, and that's basically going to be a wrap up for the main deck. And so we have one more passenger deck left, and that's the steerage deck, which that's what it's called on the deck plans. So, and so yeah, steerage, yeah, nothing really too crazy. Again, it's just the same thing as the main deck. So there is no cabins for steerage at all. It's just these dorms for the most part. And we got some crew areas at the front. So we got like this paint store, another staircase, more crew spaces, actual accommodation there. And there's also a staircase that leads down to cargo holds. Of course, there's a little kind of barrier to kind of stop them from going down there. And second class, so yeah, this is also basically the last of second class here. So you have this lower saloon, basically. Yep, he even labeled it that. So this is the lower saloon, and something that you see on some of the German ships from the 1880s. And what I find interesting is that this was basically a first class feature. So kind of having this upper and lower saloon, that was basically a first class thing, but here it's for second class, and that's what I find interesting about it. But yeah, you just got more cabins here, and you also have these windows here, which yeah, you also do see on some of the other ships as well. So very, very interesting. More bathrooms and water closets, and this is where the staircase comes down to. And I think, yeah, that's actually it for second class. So then we got this crew area, and this is where the firemen are. So yeah, a lot of firemen here. And I really like this setup here because, well, the firemen are accommodated midships, and that's a very convenient place for them because the boiler rooms are in the midsection. So it's a lot more convenient for them to basically, for their shift, they just leave their area here, and all they have to do basically is just go through a door here, and they've reached the boiler casing, and then from here they can just climb down the ladder and begin working. So I do think that the midships area is a really good place for the firemen. On some of the later White Star Line ships, you do have the firemen at the bow, and that's not really a good place for them because, first, it's not a really good place in general. The ship rolls and pitches a lot. It's a lot more noticeable in the bow. And also they have to climb down a spiral staircase all the way to the bottom and go through a fireman's passage, so here it's a lot more convenient. And on the earlier White Star Liners, like the Oceanic class and the Britannic class, there's actually evidence supporting that they're accommodated midships. So, and then a lot of the Cunard ships had this as well. Like even the Lusitania class, they had the firemen midships. So, and let's see. So we got the post office. Okay, so post office, locker, engineers. So yeah. And okay, so fireman's mess hall here. Wash place. So yeah, you pretty much get it, and that's pretty much all the interesting portions. Okay, so yeah, let's head back into cabin class here. So got another water closet. A lot of baths too, especially for the 1870s. And more cabins. And wash places. And you also kind of have this lower saloon as well, just like we saw in second class. So yeah, really like how cabin class turned out. I'm definitely a really big fan of it. Aft staircase here, and just a lot more cabins. With this little store at the stern. So that's actually it for the passenger areas. Then we just got the lower decks to explore, and you also do have these coal chutes here. So really like the detail there. I did not forget about those. This looks really good. Just more detail. So yeah, now we basically have the cargo holds, which are underneath the steerage areas. So they basically look very similar, although there's really not a whole lot going on in here. So yeah, he just made them empty. And we got the lower holds here. Staircases. And we also do have the mail rooms. So yeah, this ship could carry mail, of course, since evidenced by the fact that there's a mail room and also the post office that we saw earlier. So yeah, not really a whole lot to really say about the cargo holds. They're just your basic cargo holds. You also do have the boiler rooms. So this right here is boiler room number 2. So this is the foremost of the boiler rooms. Pretty small and compact, but then again, that's kind of how it was, since you do have the coal bunkers on the sides as well. And yeah, so again, your typical boilers here, similar to the Heidelberg. Let's see, catwalks, uptakes, ladders, coal. So coal bunkers here. And the boiler rooms are separate, so they're not connected. And then this is boiler room number 1, which would connect to the second funnel. And last but not least, you do have the main engine room. So very detailed, of course, and I'm guessing that these are going to be compound engines, since they had been introduced several years earlier, and they were very common by this point. So, and this is the actual engine casing, which goes all the way up, back up to the boat deck. And you got these catwalks here. Gauges, yeah, so a lot of detail. And we only have a single propeller shaft, so it's a single screw ship, since twin screw ships did not become a thing until really a bit later. Although I think there were twin screw ships by this time, it just didn't really catch on yet. And even then, it was still very experimental. And we got, okay, so yeah, this is a very similar setup to the Heidelberg too. And we got the cargo holds at the stern. And we also do have some of the food storage areas. So got the ice room here, vegetables, meat and fish, and bread room. So yeah, a lot of storage, of course. And yeah, guys, so that's going to wrap up my review of the Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. So yeah, all in all, I'm really happy with how this turned out. It looks really, really good here. So yeah, and of course, like I said, this is the updated version, which the only thing I really noticed was the little supports there for the deck is one of the things I really only noticed, since I never actually got around to reviewing the old version. So, but nonetheless, this is a very well-made map. This is very typical for the late 1870s for the most part. This is pretty much what you would expect to find. So, very accurate in that department. So, and yeah, so that's basically going to be it for the actual video, although not for this actual ship, since he did make several more maps associated with this ship. This ship has a very long career, so he actually has made several maps of the ship during her refits and being sold to other companies. So we're going to be checking more of that later on. So it's kind of cool how he told the story of a ship through basically Minecraft maps. So I'm going to be checking that out as well. And yeah, I cannot talk right now. I'm not sure what's going on. I've been talking about 40 minutes. Okay, so I think we should wrap it up here. So yeah, really like the map. Looking really forward to reviewing some of the other maps as well. And yeah, so that's going to be it for this video. And I will be seeing you guys very soon in the next video. So until then, bye for now.